Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. Today's interview, we're looking at Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin moving too fast, too soon? And what exactly is Bitcoin? Well, in the studio today we have Jean-Michel Servet, who is a Professor of Development Studies at the Graduate Institute. Jean-Michel, welcome.
Good afternoon.
In a recent report, Goldman Sachs said, and I quote, I've got it here, we would argue that Bitcoin and other digital currencies lie somewhere on the boundary between currency, commodity, and financial assets. We'll come on in a minute to the speed in which Bitcoin is moving, or the lack of speed, whichever, but do you agree with that?
I think there are two answers for the definition of Bitcoin. The first one is a theoretical one, and I don't think it's a practical issue, and the second one is a practical issue, an institutional issue. And the answer is quite different if you take Germany. Germany, it's a private currency. Or if you take Japan, for Japan it's a good, etc. There are different answers. And the consequences of this, the regulation is quite different, because if you are a currency or a good, the taxation is not the same.
Okay. Now, Bitcoin has been quite popular among some countries, particularly some of the poorer nations where some governments may be a little corrupt, there are high taxes, and some people who are coming into money now or more money, like countries like Nigeria, South Africa, they may want to purchase products online and feel that they can maybe get a better deal. But it's clear that effective regulation is still struggling to keep up. This is surely a good thing for Bitcoin users, isn't it?
So there is a huge difference between the project and the reality of Bitcoin. In fact, it's very difficult to buy something with Bitcoin. There are very limited possibilities to do that, especially in not developed countries. So in fact, is mainly a mean of speculation. And when the people are buying Bitcoin, with the expectation, the rate will increase in dollars and so on. It's, and there were a lot of situations like Cyprus, like, when there are some difficulties in a country, so the people are buying Bitcoin for protecting their assets.
But regulation, I mean, is still quite an issue. Has regulation been improving with Bitcoin? We've seen a recent flurry of regulation on Bitcoin, haven't we?
So I think the recent crisis of Bitcoin, because as a crisis of the rate, there is a huge increase, and after there is big change. I think a lot of people are asking, what about Bitcoin? So the regulators are giving answer, but it's funny to see that the answers are quite different from one country to another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What impact, if any, does Bitcoin liquidity have on the financial markets at the moment? The proportion of Bitcoin in the liquidity throughout the world is very limited. So I don't think there is huge consequences regarding the total means of speculation, I can say. But that might change?
I'm not sure of that. Because there are 100 cryptocurrencies. So, it's not only the problem of Bitcoins. And I think the reason the regulators are taking charge of this is because there are 100 different cryptocurrencies. Regarding the Bitcoins, I don't think it's a good product because there is no good security. It's a problem. I don't know the future of other cryptocurrencies. And perhaps this kind of cryptocurrency can be a situation for developing, payment with mobile phone, for example. In Europe, mobile phone payments are underdeveloped if you compare with Kenya, with South Africa, and so on. So I think it could be a good reason for thinking about this kind of situation.
But again, obviously, more regulation is needed for...
They don't want, you know, the aficionados of Bitcoin do not want regulation.
But a successful cyber currency needs an exchange rate, you know, a fixed exchange rate. Now, this has been said by countless economists. And that it faces difficulties as a store of value, and that's a significant obstacle. Do you think that Bitcoin could grow too large too fast? If we were to assume that Bitcoin really started to pick up pace, is there that danger, though, that again, without this fixed exchange rate, and that it could become too big too fast?
The problem of the Bitcoin is not this one, I think, because the problem of the Bitcoin, it's quite different from modern currency. The origin of modern currency is debt. The origin of Bitcoin is not debt. If you want an economic development, you need a debt. And you know, it's the reason, you know, the creation of modern currency is not the state. It's a commercial bank. So if you now have no credit, you have no development. But one of the problems of the Bitcoin, you know, and it's quite different from local complementary currency, it's not a common goods, you know. The origin of this kind of currency, it's just the interest of the people. And I think it's impossible to have a sane society if you have not the idea of a common good inside the society. And in fact, all the former currencies are based on this kind of common goods and trust, not security and interest.
And the fixed exchange rate would help with that as well?
But I think it's impossible to have this kind of fixed rate with this kind of project, you know.
Jean-Michel, thank you very much for coming in the studio today. This Bitcoin, whether it's a currency, commodity, asset, it's still in its infancy, and I can see we could talk about this for hours. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
That's all for Dukas Copy today. Keep up to date with us online as we bring you more interviews and updates throughout the rest of the week. But for now, from me, bye-bye.